Well, if it isn't the NBA playoffs. Finally, the NBA playoffs are back. Yes. I am so happy that we even got to have the playoffs this year. That is freaking awesome because, obviously there's this whole thing going around the whole world and a lot of stuff had to stop and all, but we are actually having playoffs, NBA playoff basketball, and I'm so stoked about it. This is one of the most compelling seasons that we've had in a really long time. You could even make the case forever. So let's start off with probably the most predictable one here, and that's the 1-8 matchup in the Eastern Conference between the NBA best record Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Orlando Magic, and this is going to be awesome. Said no one ever, because this is going to be an absolute walloping by the Milwaukee Bucks here. I'm picking the Bucks in 4, and it's as simple as that. So, thanks for playing, Orlando. You get pseudo home court advantage. Bucks in 4. Another pretty predictable matchup, at least we think so, is going to be the Toronto Raptors taking on the Brooklyn Nets. And that being said, Brooklyn really impressed me against the Portland Trailblazers. They played against an explosive offense, albeit not a great defense, but they really showed up. And Karis LeVert, he is booking his ticket as one of those good young players that's been lost in the shuffle here in the eyes of a lot of NBA fans. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Toronto Raptors, they have championship aspirations, and they are going to be putting the Nets away pretty quickly. I'm going to say that the Toronto Raptors will win in 5 games. What was going to be one of the more intriguing matchups in the Eastern Conference has now become a slight bit lopsided here. First of all, the Sixers are going to be without they're going to be without Ben Simmons for perhaps the whole entire rest of the season, and that is obviously a huge blow. There are some numbers that show that the Sixers are better off with just Embiid or just Simmons, but either way, there's just not enough guys on this team to beat the Celtics aside from Joel Embiid. Al Horford is just not Celtics Al Horford anymore. Tobias Harris, you can't count on him to make the big shots when it matters, unfortunately. Both of those contracts are not looking great for the Philadelphia 76ers. Even though the Celtics have a lack of size, Joel Embiid, if he gets doubled and kicks it to the corner, I just don't have enough faith in these Sixers players to really do much here. Also, the coaching advantage has got to go to Boston with Brad Stevens far above Brett Brown. Yeah, it's going to be the Boston Celtics. I'm going to say Celtics in 6. I might be giving a little too much respect to Philadelphia, honestly. But yeah, I'm going to give Celtics in 6 just to be safe. On to the 4-5 matchup. The Indiana Pacers ended up taking the 4 seed. We did not expect this from TJ Warren. That being said, the loss of Domantas Sabonis probably being out for forever. I don't think he's coming back. I'm just going to say that because the Pacers are not going to beat the Heat, in my opinion. In the 3 regular season matchups, and that also includes the bubble, where the Heat won. They won pretty convincingly, and even if one of them was only by 1 point, which I think was their first matchup this year, the Heat still out-rebounded the Pacers like crazy, and the Pacers not having Domantas Sabonis is not going to help that. So, I'm debating between Miami in 5 or Miami in 6. But I'm going to go Miami in 6 because they do have some young players who don't have playoff experience. So we'll see. Yeah, Miami in 6 to beat the Pacers. So let's move on to the Western Conference, starting off with the 1-8 matchup, which is between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers have had the most explosive offense in the entire NBA during the NBA restart, and that might continue, but the problem is that they cannot really defend for a full 48 minutes. And playoff LeBron is a whole different beast. The Lakers are going to win this, and I'm going to say they win this in 5, but still plenty to be happy about here for Portland and Damian Lillard to literally play the way he's been playing, bubble MVP. But yeah, I'm going to say Lakers in 5. Alright, this is going to be a really, really fun series to watch. The Clippers versus the Mavericks. I think every game will be competitive, but at the end of the day, I think the Clippers are winning in 5, and this is why. You know, the Mavericks, they don't have much playoff experience, Luka and Porzingis. Not that Luka would be a guy to get rattled in high-pressure situations, because he's not really that kind of guy. I mean, he came to the NBA and he's already a superstar after year 2. I mean, that is something that you can't really say about most people. I could gush about Luka Doncic on and on, but at the end of the day, his team just doesn't really play defense, do they? And the Mavericks, if you can't play defense, the Clippers will play it for you. The Clippers are an amazing defensive team, and also very explosive on offense. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, what else is there to say? The Clippers are going to win this. I'm going to say they're going to win in 5 games. Let's keep the fun matchups rolling. We've got the 3-seeded Denver Nuggets taking on the Utah Jazz. The Nuggets have been without Gary Harris and Will Barton for most of the bubble, actually all the bubble, and they still look pretty good. I don't know if Gary Harris would even really do anything to help them. Will Barton, they're definitely going to miss him. He's such a pivotal player for them. But having Michael Porter Jr. playing the way he is since the restart is fantastic for the Nuggets. They have such a bright young future and core. I mean, what else is there to say about the Nuggets that we haven't already said? Except another thing that people always say about them is they're not the upper echelon of contender, but neither are the Jazz. The Jazz are without Bojan Bogdanovic, and they just seem a little hollow. Donovan Mitchell can clutch up as many times as he wants, but at the end of the day, the Nuggets are a deeper team than the Jazz. They are a better team than the Jazz, and Jokic took Gobert to town. He took the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year like it was barely any issue. Jokic is amazing, and the Nuggets are going to win. I'm going to say this series goes to 7, though. Now the 4-5 matchup between the Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the elephant in the room here is, of course, CP3, Russell Westbrook. They're each playing their former teams, and they were traded for each other. Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting series for that reason. And really, the major story that has come out of it, though, is that Russell Westbrook is not going to be available for at least the first 2 games or so against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So what are the Rockets going to do to combat that? I'm not sure. But that, I probably would have had the Rockets in 6 before that, but now I'm going to have them in 7. The Thunder, the way they use Steven Adams is more beneficial to the Rockets, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's gonna be Rockets in 7, but a fantastic season for Oklahoma City. They've really exceeded so many expectations. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait for the first round of the playoffs. It's going to be great.